Hello folks, it's Dave here, and today I want to give you my review of this guy, Transformers Legacy Medix. In this video, first of all, I want to start by talking about the overall appearance of the toy. Then I want to discuss the articulation, moving on to discuss the accessories that this guy comes with, before transforming off camera to save time, and then coming back and talking to you about my views on the alt mode of this particular Transformer. So this is Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Medix. And looking at him, first of all, he is a nice looking bot. I do have an affinity for emergency vehicle bots, so this is one I had to pick up. And yeah, overall, really good. The head sculpt I do like, with the off-white faceplate, mostly grey, and then the green stripe down the middle of the head looks really cool. The chest piece is moulded really nicely, and it's got colour in the right places to bring out some of these details, like these stripes here and a little green collar here, and it really makes the mould pop. I really like the way it looks overall. Just with the distribution of the colours, there isn't much real colour here. It's mostly grayscales, white, grey and black, but just these little bits of green and this kind of orangey red colour distributed in the right way. It makes it look really, really vibrant, and it really does stand out when you've got it on the shelf. You've got some lovely moulded detail in the forearms, a bit of moulded detail in the shoulders, and a lot of intricate moulded detail on the front of the lower legs. He's really, really nice. Now he does have, like the previous use of the mould crankcase, these guns that pop up behind his head. Now I don't really like the way that looks for a medical bot, but you can shove them down inside there and adjust the backpack down so he's got less backpack sticking up behind his head. The guns are hidden, and I much prefer that look. In terms of any gapping, he does have gaps inside of his inner legs, which are fairly noticeable if you've got him posed showing those bits. But not too bad. I'm not usually upset when we get some gaps in our bots, unless they're really obvious, like from the front or something, because mostly he's going to stand on a shelf like that. Overall, all the way around, he does clean up fairly nice. The lower legs, nice and covered up. The backpack doesn't look too bad. It does have some gapping in the back of the shoulders. If you did want to take a photo from the back, you can turn the arms and show the wheel instead, which is a little bit better. And yeah, overall, really, really nice looking bot. And probably the best colours that this mould has had, at least in my opinion. Now let's move on and talk about his articulation. His head moves side to side as you would expect. Does have a little bit of rock from the side to the side and a little bit of up and down too, which is nice. You can get a little bit of character in that head posing. The worst bit of the articulation for me is the shoulders. The way they move up and sit right next to his head is not a good look. Yeah, would have been nice if the shoulder articulation was further out and didn't go into his head like that. The arms will go up and down all the way around really, and you've got a bicep swivel, and you've got an elbow bend, and you've got a wrist swivel, which you don't always get, so it's nice to have. It's got a waist swivel, which is again not guaranteed these days, but lovely to get. The hips do go up. Mine are very tight. That might just be on my version though. And its legs go out to the side. It's got a good thigh swivel that moves a long way. Pretty much goes all the way around if you want it to. And it's got a nice deep knee bend and an ankle tilt, which goes a long, long way. So you can get him in some really nice poses. The only really egregious thing articulation wise for me, as I say, would be that shoulder, which is fairly unattractive if you pose it like that. Okay, let's talk then about the accessories that come with him. So, because he's a reuse of the crankcase mould, he comes with the crankcase accessories. First of all, this piece, which forms the front of the car mode and also transforms into a fairly unconvincing gun. And I'm not really a fan of that accessory. I think it made sense for crankcase, but it's fairly superfluous for Medix, but I understand why it's in the package. And then this, that also is a reuse of crankcase's gun, and that's quite nice, and you can sort of see that as some sort of medical tool, maybe for doing welding on an injured Autobot, so that's quite cool. And then he also comes with these two guns, which are a reuse of the guns that came with Legacy Minerva, done in a nice red. And a little bit see-through, so if you can get them to catch the light on your display, they do look really cool. And these are my preferred accessories to display him with. So that's those. Okay, I'm going to go off camera, I'm going to get him transformed, and then I'm going to come back and discuss his alt mode with you. Okay guys, I'm back, and here we have Medix in his alt mode. Now, it's not the best alt mode, we'll start with that. It is like a little blocky car, and this part on the front, which is the crankcase accessory, doesn't really suit it. It makes it look off-roady, which doesn't feel right to me. I actually prefer to take that off and be done with it, and I think this is more convincing as some little runabout, first responder, ambulance, around town kind of vehicle. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I think without that accessory it's a bit more convincing. Now, the front I think looks really good. Again, those colours really look good. That moulded detail along the bottom there I really like, and so I'm happy with that. There's the back of the head with the Autobot symbol in there, and you can see that green surround bit again that was around his neck before, and I think all of that looks really nice. These little moulded pipes sticking up here look lovely. Unfortunately, he does have the guns that were behind his shoulders showing up through the windscreen, which doesn't look super attractive. The top's nice enough, plain white with the light bar there, but that looks okay. I'd be happy enough with that. From the back, it would have been nice to have some colour on the rear window perhaps. And these bits are nice with the grey in there, and the wheel spare tyre there. That all looks nice enough. From the side, I like that bit. That's a callback to the original Medix toy, and that looks cool. And I like this reddy bit up here with the stripes moulded in. The windows look okay apart from this really obvious hinge sticking up there. The front wheel is pretty unattractive with that peg sticking through like that. The rear one with the pin is better. Overall, not the greatest alt mode, and the transformation is not difficult but feels a little bit awkward and fiddly, and perhaps part of that for me is because the hips, at least on mine, are very tight, and I think that made the transformation a little bit more fiddly and awkward again than it might otherwise have been. So not the best transformation necessarily, and not the greatest alt mode, so probably doesn't really entirely feel worth transforming into the alt mode. Yeah, for me, the bot mode, definitely the superior mode of the two. He looks really nice displayed on a shelf in that mode, as long as you don't try and put his shoulders up in any way. Otherwise, nice and posable, good little bot. And would I recommend him? I would. I wouldn't necessarily recommend for most people to pay full price for him unless you have a particular affinity with the character, or, like me, you're particularly fond of emergency vehicle transformers. Otherwise, yes, it's a decent bot to have on the shelf. It looks nice on display. I could recommend it, but I would perhaps say to wait and see if you can pick one up cheaper further down the road. So yeah, that's been my review of Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Medix. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it, as always, guys. This has been Dave, and I'll see you next time for another video. Take care.